Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders surprised many fans and analysts alike when reports surfaced that they were actively shopping cornerback Noah Igbinagene ahead of the NFL's cut-down deadline. With hours ticking away, it seemed almost inevitable that the veteran would be waived or traded. Yet the unexpected twist left the football world buzzing. Igbinagene's performance last season, particularly in the nickel role when rookie Micah Parsons shifted to the boundary, had been steady enough to suggest a secure spot on the roster, despite minor lapses in run support. The idea that the team would entertain moving him, especially after a promising showing in camp and preseason, caused widespread discussion on social media and sports talk programs. Fans were divided between frustration and optimism, questioning the Commanders' strategy. Keeping a proven defensive back often provides depth and insurance against injuries, which makes the team's temporary hesitation to finalize his fate all the more intriguing and potentially strategic. The debate intensified when fans compared Igbinagene's steady contributions to those of the higher-profile first-round pick, whose inconsistencies had been well documented during his career. Unlike his higher-drafted peers, Igbinagene exhibited situational awareness, maintained solid coverage, and demonstrated the adaptability that coaches crave in nickel cornerbacks. Analysts noted that while his run support occasionally faltered, his overall performance exceeded expectations for someone drafted outside the first round, making him a quietly reliable presence in the secondary. The Commanders' cornerback depth is undeniably strong, but injuries are an inevitable part of football, and having a dependable backup like Igbinagene can prevent catastrophic lapses in coverage. Observers wondered whether the front office was undervaluing his versatility or merely leveraging uncertainty to create trade leverage. Either way, the decision sent ripples through fan communities, prompting debates about roster construction, player development, and the balance between youth potential and seasoned reliability. It was clear that this was more than a simple cut. It was a statement of strategic intent that required careful scrutiny. Igbinagene's performance during training camp and the preseason only fueled the discussion further. Coaches praised his consistency, attention to detail, and ability to absorb complex defensive schemes, all qualities that make a cornerback a valuable asset in both base and sub-package defenses. The Commanders' decision to ultimately keep him, even temporarily, reflected a recognition of these strengths. Yet the drama surrounding his status suggested that the final outcome was far from certain. With every snap, the veteran demonstrated that he could contribute immediately, reducing the risk associated with carrying him on the 53-man roster. Fans began to consider the strategic angles. Perhaps the team hoped to gauge trade interest, or maybe they were signaling a willingness to retain a trusted secondary option amid an otherwise young, developing roster. The narrative around Igbinagene became emblematic of the NFL's high-stakes roster management, where talent, timing, and circumstance intersect in unpredictable ways, leaving players and fans alike in suspense. When the dust settled, Igbinagene's name appeared on the Commanders' official 53-man roster, providing at least temporary relief for supporters and the player himself. However, the relief came with a clear caveat. The reprieve might not last long, and the organization could revisit trade possibilities depending on evolving needs or roster dynamics. General Manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn are known for making pragmatic decisions that prioritize team performance over sentimentality, and their judgment remains the ultimate arbiter of Igbinagene's future. While fans may celebrate his survival for now, the underlying message is that no position is ever truly secure in the NFL. This blend of performance validation and impending uncertainty encapsulates the volatile nature of professional football, particularly during cut-down week, when dozens of players face abrupt career disruptions, and organizational strategy can be opaque to the public. The saga surrounding Igbinagene exemplifies this delicate balance between hope and harsh reality in roster management. The timing of the decision to retain Igbinagene is critical in understanding the Commanders' broader strategy. By not cutting him before the deadline, the team maintained negotiation flexibility, similar to the approach used with defensive tackle John Ridgeway the previous year. Ridgway's situation demonstrated that keeping a player temporarily can provide leverage in trade discussions, allowing the front office to explore market interest without immediately losing a capable contributor. For Igbinagene, this means that while his spot is secure for the moment, trade rumors and contingency plans may continue to swirl. Peters and Quinn have consistently demonstrated that they will act decisively when they believe it enhances the team's chances of success, making it clear that retention does not equate to long-term commitment. The balance between retaining talent and optimizing the roster for playoff contention creates an environment where even successful veterans must remain vigilant and adaptable to ever-changing circumstances. Peters' approach emphasizes valuation, as the Commanders will not let Igbinagene go unless they receive compensation that aligns with their assessment of his skills and potential. The absence of immediate trade interest may have been a factor in keeping him on the roster, ensuring that the team retains a dependable defensive back while continuing to explore options. In this context, Igbinagene serves as both a safety net and a bargaining chip, reflecting the dual-purpose role that mid-tier veterans often occupy in the NFL. The ongoing narrative underscores the calculated nature of roster management, where decisions must balance short-term performance, long-term potential, and strategic maneuvering. For fans, this is a reminder that the excitement and uncertainty surrounding roster cuts are not just drama. They are deliberate elements of a high-stakes professional environment that tests the patience, resilience, and adaptability of both players and organizations. Beyond strategy, the situation highlights the inherently precarious nature of NFL employment, particularly during cut-down week. Hundreds of players face job insecurity, with many moving between practice squads, active rosters, and free agency in rapid succession. Even those who initially make the 53-man squad must contend with the possibility of being waived or traded in response to injuries, performance fluctuations, or tactical adjustments. Igbinagene's temporary reprieve exemplifies the fragile equilibrium experienced by players who are neither perennial starters nor expendable cast-offs. Every practice, snap, and meeting carries weight, as teams continuously evaluate how each individual fits into their broader objectives. For fans, understanding this context can transform perceptions of seemingly minor roster moves into a deeper appreciation of the complex interplay between performance, potential, and organizational strategy that defines professional football. The Commanders' cornerback depth, while robust, is never immune to disruption. Injuries or unexpected performance issues can quickly elevate a previously overlooked player into a pivotal role. Igbinagene's versatility as both a starter and nickel defender makes him a critical insurance policy in such scenarios. His ability to cover receivers in multiple positions and adapt to varying defensive schemes provides Quinn with tactical flexibility, which is invaluable over a grueling 17-game regular season. Yet, this very utility also positions him as a trade candidate, as other teams facing depth challenges may covet his skill set. The dual nature of his role, both essential and negotiable, illustrates the complex calculus of NFL roster management, where a player can simultaneously be a cornerstone of internal strategy and a potential commodity in external market transactions, keeping fans and analysts engaged in a dynamic story that evolves daily. The media has closely monitored Igbinagene's trajectory, with reporters like Diana Rossini suggesting that Peters will not hesitate to make additional roster adjustments if they are deemed advantageous for a playoff push. The Auburn product's future is contingent not just on his performance, but on broader strategic decisions, injuries elsewhere, and market dynamics. In this environment, stability is rare, and even promising players must navigate an ongoing landscape of speculation and operational pragmatism. Fans watching these developments are treated to a live demonstration of NFL decision-making at its most transparent, yet enigmatic, where narrative and strategy intermingle. Igbinagene's story thus becomes emblematic of the league's high-stakes environment, providing insight into how teams weigh performance, potential, and situational leverage while maintaining the flexibility necessary to adapt to unpredictable circumstances that arise at any moment during the season. Ultimately, Noah Igbinagene's unexpected retention offers a fascinating glimpse into the high-pressure world of NFL roster management, where talent, timing, and tactical considerations intersect in ways that are often invisible to casual observers. His reprieve, while welcome, carries with it an undercurrent of uncertainty that underscores the brutal competitiveness of professional football. For fans, the drama surrounding his status transforms routine roster decisions into a narrative filled with tension, strategy, and suspense. Every decision made by Peters and Quinn not only impacts the player in question, but also sends a signal to the rest of the team about the stakes involved. The unfolding situation illustrates that in the NFL, even small moves can have cascading effects, shaping both on-field performance and broader organizational strategy in ways that fans, analysts, and players themselves must navigate with care, insight, and a keen sense of timing. Igbinagene's situation is not merely a story about roster cuts. It is a microcosm of the NFL's larger ecosystem, where performance, potential, and positional value are constantly weighed against each other in a relentless pursuit of competitive advantage. The drama of cut-down week, combined with the team's deliberate decision-making, highlights how front offices balance immediate needs with long-term goals, often keeping players in a state of suspense while simultaneously protecting organizational interests. For Igbinagene, the current reprieve may provide short-term security, but every practice and preseason snap now carries added significance, reinforcing the reality that in professional football, no player is ever truly guaranteed a place. The evolving narrative keeps fans engaged, analysts speculating, and the player motivated, creating a dynamic, high-stakes environment that epitomizes the unforgiving yet exhilarating nature of the NFL, where opportunities and uncertainty coexist in every roster decision. As the league's season approaches, Noah Igbinagene remains a figure of intrigue, embodying the delicate balance between opportunity and instability that defines the professional football experience. His reprieve is emblematic of the Commanders' nuanced approach to roster management, where decisions are carefully calculated, yet remain subject to change based on performance, injuries, and market factors. Fans and commentators alike continue to monitor his status, fully aware that today's security could quickly evolve into tomorrow's trade rumor or roster shakeup. In this way, Igbinagene's journey serves as a narrative lens through which to understand the NFL's operational complexity, illustrating how individual careers are influenced not only by talent and effort, but also by strategy, timing, and circumstance. The drama surrounding him may have paused, but it is far from over, ensuring that both supporters and critics remain engaged as the story continues to unfold, with each new development carrying significant implications for the player, the team, and the league at large. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The news coming out of the NFL world has fans and insiders buzzing in disbelief, because if there was ever a twist capable of shaking the foundation of one of the league's fiercest rivalries, it just happened. Micah Parsons, the linebacker many already considered a generational defensive talent, has officially signed with the Washington franchise. Yes, you heard that right. The same Washington that has lived in the shadow of inconsistency and defensive collapse for more than a decade. Parsons has not only put pen to paper, but he's also publicly promised to change the history of their defense. Imagine the ripple effect of this move. It's not just about a player arriving. It's about a statement that Washington wants to stop being a rebuilding storyline and instead become a powerhouse. And with Parsons' fire, intensity, and relentless drive, this move feels like the birth of an entirely new defensive era. When you look at Parsons' journey so far, it makes this story even juicier. Drafted by Dallas, he quickly became the nightmare of every offensive coordinator, the type of hybrid defender who doesn't just tackle but suffocates plays before they even develop. His ability to line up anywhere, edge, middle, even dropping back into coverage, made him a rare chess piece, one you don't give away lightly. So the rumor mills are already cooking. Why would Dallas let a star of his caliber slip to Washington, of all teams? Some whisper about contract disputes, others about locker room clashes, but whatever the reason, Washington fans are not complaining. They see in Parsons not just a linebacker, but the heir to legends of the past, someone who could redefine the identity of a defense that has struggled for respect in the modern era. This is more than a signing. It's a dramatic shift of power. And of course, we can't ignore the rivalry storyline. Washington and Dallas have one of the most bitter histories in the NFL, a feud that stretches back decades, fueled by playoff battles, controversial calls, and fan bases that live and breathe every insult. Now picture Parsons, the former darling of the Cowboys, suiting up in burgundy and gold, staring down his old teammates across the line of scrimmage. This isn't just about XS and OS anymore. It's personal, emotional, almost gladiatorial in the way it raises the stakes. Washington didn't just add talent. They added a weapon designed to inflict maximum psychological damage on their greatest rival. For Dallas fans, it feels like betrayal. For Washington, it feels like destiny. And the first time Parsons sacks his former quarterback in a heated divisional clash, you can be sure the stadium will erupt as if a curse has been broken. What Parsons himself is saying only adds fuel to the fire. In his introductory press conference, he didn't shy away from bold proclamations. He said outright that Washington's defense will no longer be a liability, but the cornerstone of the franchise. He promised to bring energy, leadership, and an attitude that demands accountability from every teammate. And let's be real, when someone of Parsons' caliber talks like that, people listen. It's not empty hype. This is a player who has consistently backed up his words with jaw-dropping performances on the field. His rookie year was nothing short of historic, and even when opponents schemed specifically to neutralize him, he still found ways to disrupt. Now he has the platform to not just be a star, but a culture changer, the kind of figure who can rally a locker room and make an entire city believe in defense again. The buzz on social media has been electric, with fans posting edits of Parsons in Washington colors, clips of his greatest sacks replayed with new anthems blasting in the background. Some analysts are cautious, reminding everyone that one man alone doesn't fix systemic problems. But others argue that Parsons is exactly the type of talent who elevates everyone around him. Remember when Ray Lewis turned Baltimore's defense into a symbol of fear? Or when Lawrence Taylor redefined the linebacker position entirely? That's the kind of legacy people are daring to whisper about with Parsons in Washington. The expectation isn't just competence, it's dominance. The hope is that his presence will free up the defensive line, allow corners to play more aggressively, and finally bring balance to a team that has long relied on flashes of offense rather than consistent stopping power. Inside the locker room, reports suggest players are already responding to Parsons' energy. Younger defenders see him as a mentor figure, someone who sets the bar high and leads by example. Veterans reportedly feel rejuvenated, like the arrival of a new leader has given them permission to believe again. These intangible effects often go unnoticed until the results start to pile up, but anyone who has been around championship teams knows how crucial culture is. Parsons isn't just promising to play hard. He's demanding that everyone else raise their level too. That's the kind of demand that can transform an average unit into a force. If Washington really buys into this, if they embrace Parsons' mentality, we could be talking about a defensive renaissance in the nation's capital, one that finally restores pride to a franchise starved for identity. But let's not underestimate the pressure. With a contract this big and promises this bold, every mistake will be magnified, every misstep dissected. Fans will expect instant results. The media will circle like hawks, and opposing offenses will treat him as target number one. Parsons will face constant double teams, clever schemes, and quarterbacks desperate to prove they can outsmart him. The question becomes, can he handle the weight of expectation in Washington the same way he thrived in Dallas? Some argue he might even thrive under the pressure, that his personality craves the spotlight and the challenge of silencing critics. Others caution that Washington has a history of letting stars slip through their fingers, failing to build properly around them. The next few seasons will be a test not just of Parsons' individual greatness, but of Washington's ability to maximize the gift they've been handed. In the larger NFL landscape, this signing shifts dynamics in the NFC East. Suddenly, Washington isn't just an afterthought in division predictions. They're a wild card, a team whose defense could vault them into serious contention if everything clicks. For Philadelphia, New York, and Dallas, this changes game plans, forces adjustments, and adds a layer of unpredictability. Coaches will now spend long nights figuring out how to neutralize Parsons, knowing full well that even when you think you've contained him, he finds ways to wreck plays. It's not hyperbole to say that his presence could change the balance of power in the division. And for Washington fans, that's a dream scenario, because for years, they've been on the receiving end of dominance. With Parsons, they finally have a weapon to strike back. Even beyond football strategy, there's a symbolic weight to this move. Parsons isn't just another signing. He represents hope. Washington has been desperate for a figure that embodies grit, passion, and excellence, someone who can rally fans and players alike. In a league where narratives matter as much as numbers, Parsons brings a story arc straight out of a Hollywood script. The prodigy who crosses enemy lines, determined to carve out his own legacy and lift a struggling franchise. And you can already feel how this will be marketed: jerseys flying off shelves, highlight reels plastered across primetime broadcasts, analysts debating his impact every Sunday night. Whether you love Washington or hate them, you won't be able to ignore them anymore. Parsons has made sure of that. So here we are, standing at the edge of what feels like a new chapter in NFL drama. Micah Parsons, the heir apparent to greatness, has chosen Washington as his kingdom. His promise to change the history of their defense is not just bold, it's magnetic, the kind of vow that forces everyone to watch closely. Will he deliver on his words, turn Washington's defense into a fortress, and etch his name alongside the legends of the game? Or will the weight of expectation prove too heavy in a city that craves revival? One thing is certain, the stage is set, the rivalry is hotter than ever, and the NFL just gained another storyline dripping with intrigue. For Washington fans, this feels like destiny calling. For everyone else, it feels like a storm on the horizon. And in the middle of it all stands Micah Parsons, ready to write history. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.